And so I'm going to also share my screen with you guys. Um, so now you're looking at my screen and you see Gabrielle there on the screen. And I need to get this down where I can do it. So the subject of our little training session here is RPR. What's it good for? And so we're going to talk a little bit about RPR. I think this is a resource that is often overlooked. And to get to RPR, if you just go to the MyBoard Central, you can just scroll down here to the bottom, and this is the icon for RPR. Now, RPR is a member benefit of the National Association of Realtors. And in order to log into RPR, you will need to use your NRDS number, not your MyBoard number, but your NRDS number. But once you've entered that, typically when you push the icon, it's typically not going to ask you unless it's been a while since you've been in there. Um, but I've been in there not real recently, but most of the time when I log on to this, it uh, is all ready to go, and I don't have to enter my password. Okay, now one of the things that they have going on right now is that there are what they call next gen reports, and they're out of beta, meaning that you can use them now. And the legacy reports, the old reports are going to sunset on November 4th. So eventually you're going to have to use these new reports. So you might as well get used to using them. And there's a little video here that will show you how to do those reports. Now, so one of the things that makes RPR useful are those reports. And those reports are specific to a property. And so when you pull a property up in here, just any property that you want to pull up, um, you'll see it pop up down below, and you can go to that property. And so here it's going to show your property. It's going to give a estimated value of the property. It's going to tell you what the last closed price is, and it's going to give you basic facts about the property and et cetera. So this is always useful for a buyer. And so one of the things that I like to do is I like to do a report for them of this property and then send it to them before we go look at it. But it also gives me a lot of good information about the property and gives me an estimated value. So I kind of know going in, is the property priced right or not? So, and interest, and this value changes all the time. So um, I'm going to pull up a property here that I have listed, Seaway Circle. And so the list price right now for that is 743, 752, and the RVM for it is 545,070. I can tell you that when I listed this property almost 6 months ago now, when I listed this property, that RVM was higher. That RVM was up around 575. And it has since declined. And you can see that right here because it tells you that it has declined. And so, what this tells me, if I'm a buyer's agent looking at this property, is that, okay, right now it's priced slightly below the RVM, and I've got negotiating room because it's going down. This neighborhood is not going up. And so I can negotiate on this property. And I know that I can because it's been on the market for a while. But this RVM just helps me, and that helps me with my buyer. So when I show this to my buyer, and they look at it, then they're going to realize, okay, this property's priced a little bit below the RVM value. So, there's already some potential equity in this property, since RVM is kind of a calculated average type value. And you can see the estimated range is 522 to 565. So if I look at this property and I think, well, this should be below on the bottom end of that. Well, then down here, a 522 offer might be a reasonable offer to make for this property, depending on condition. Um, Now, I think that's a little low for this property because it does have some updates in it and some good mechanical updates and things of that sort, roof, things of that sort that are expensive updates. But it is lacking on some cosmetic updates in the baths. So, it does deserve to be probably below the average value, but not the lowest value for a house that maybe doesn't have any upgrades in it. So at any rate, it provides some very useful information to you as a buyer's agent, or to your buyer. And so I send a report to them about this property. The other thing, and by the way, to create a report, you just use this button over here, create report. Uh, the other thing it does for you, the other reason this can be useful to you as an agent is when you're listing a property. So if I were listing this property, so I didn't have a list price up here, I just have the RVM to go by. So I pull this up before I go out and meet with the seller. And so I already have an idea of what this property is worth on the market, kind of the average value, 544. So when I go look at it, I can add to that if it's an exceptionally clean and updated property, or I could detract from that if it's not as clean as it needs to be, or it's not as updated as it needs to be. So this helps me as a seller's agent too. So it's not just for buyer's agents. This is also useful to you as a seller's agent before you go out and list the property. I always pull this up, always have this in hand. This also will tell you a lot of times if there's a mortgage on the property. You could look down here and find a mortgage. Now, this property doesn't have a mortgage on it, but it does show me the listing history of it, so I can see what's going on there. It can tell me when there was the last mortgage that was on it. Um, and how much it was, but I can tell you these have been paid off. So, good. So at any rate, you don't know that when you're looking at it. So you can come down here and it might give you an indication, okay, there may be a $200,000 mortgage on here, conventional mortgage. We don't know for sure. Uh, we also know here, so this is a husband and wife, but we can see here that the wife owns the property. So she's the one that's going to be signing all the agreements. So even though the husband may be involved, she's the one that signs and ultimately needs to make the decision for this property. So I can glean a lot of information that's public information. This is all public information. So none of this information is proprietary or secret. This is all information that's available to the public. So when you can find out the owner of any property, you can find out through public records whether there's a mortgage on that property. All this information is available to the public. And so this just aggregates that. So this tool from MyBore does that. So it's good for those kind of things. And you go over here to create reports, and you have all different kind of templates here that you can choose from. And you can create a legacy report, or you can do these new templates that they have. It's totally up to you. So that's where you go there. The other useful thing that they have in here is if you go to the research tab, I think it is right here, and you go down here to residential market trends and you choose that, it takes you to the market trends page. Okay. And you can search for a market. So you can enter a county, a city, a zip code, or a neighborhood. So I can enter anything that I want. So let's say I want to know uh, for Admirals Bay. Well, it doesn't have Admirals Bay.
There's
See,
no S, right? It's just Admiral Bay, isn't it?
it may be Admiral Bay.
I think.
Okay, it doesn't find that neighborhood, so I can't search for that neighborhood. So I could search for a zip code, though. I can go 462, whoops, 236, and that's going to include that neighborhood. So I can go to that zip code, and it gives me market stats about what's going on in the market. Again, this is a useful tool to understand what's going on in the market. So 46236 indicates that it's a seller market. I would dispute that. At least my observation is it's more of a balanced market. However, that said, uh, new listings that are solid new listings, they do sell quickly. Median days in RPR is 5 days. So, this is still a relatively active zip code. Now, that also includes Oaklandon, Hills, and Lawrence, Fort Bend, and et cetera. So, if I could get Admirals Bay, it would give me a little better indication of what that particular neighborhood is doing. And a lot of times you can pull up the actual neighborhood here. Now, this does some interesting things. Oh, also you can choose property type, single family, condo, apartment, etc. So I typically want to know what's going on with single families because that's what I mostly deal with. But if this were a condo, then I'd want to eliminate the single families and look at just condos because there's going to be different numbers for condos versus single family. Um, Now, one of the things I can do here, so I can create scripts. So if I come right up here and it says create script, if I click on that, it will use AI to write a script for me that I could then use as a video script or a social media post or an article or a client email. And it will prepare that script for me and I can select what tone I want. So I can select from professional, conversational, friendly, casual, confident, engaging, any of these. Okay, so I can pick one of those by just choosing that. I can pick who my audience is. Is it buyers? Is it sellers? Is it both? Well, who is it here? First time home buyers. Who am I trying to appeal to? Buyers and sellers, whatever. So let's say maybe I want it to buyers and sellers, um, and I want to send out an email to my client base, so I want a client email. And so I generate this, and it's going to generate the script for me. It's using AI. So it's automatically doing the prompts and asking AI to put together a report based on these market stats that I just pulled up, market trends for 46236. And so here's my email. Hi there. Hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out with a quick check-in to keep you informed about the current housing market trends in Indianapolis, specifically in the 46236 area. Understanding these trends can be incredibly valuable whether you're considering buying or selling your home. Let's dive into the details. Months of inventory. We currently have 2.14 months. And so it goes down here and it just explains everything in an email format. And all I have to do, I can copy the text, I can export it to a PDF, and then I could attach that PDF as a document, or I could just share by email right here, and it's going to pull up my email program, send this out as an attachment. So I can do anything I want. So if I wanted to maybe edit this, I could copy the text, put this into a document, editable document. I could then edit that document. I could then copy and paste it into an email, or I could save it as a PDF document and email it then. So I can edit this if I want. So if I don't like something that AI has written here, I can edit that. And so it's useful, RPR is useful for that type of thing too. Now, in this little short session, I've covered only two ways that it's useful. There are many other ways you can do CMAs with this. You can easily update value of a property that you have listed in here. So there's lots of things that you can do with RPR that I just simply don't have time to talk about because we're out of time this morning. But I did want to run to that for you and give you just some